Personal effectiveness: 9 useful skills. Personal effectiveness skills are personal abilities that can be consciously developed, practiced, and improved. If we use the analogy with computer games, these are skills that can be pumped by increasing your own level. The more I develop my techniques, the better results I achieve. That's why I love personal growth so much. Personal effectiveness skills are tools for effective performance. They are needed in order to effectively implement their intentions and achieve their goals. The better I know what I want from life, the better I can put these techniques to use. And although many first begin to use the tools and only then ask themselves the question, why? This is normal, such is the nature of a person. For more details, see the article, Levels of Consciousness. Here I will talk about my favorite personal effectiveness skills and what they gave me and how I developed them. 1. Blind printing. The fastest, measurable, results I got from the skill of high-speed typing with 10 fingers on a computer keyboard. Blind typing is as follows. The eyes look at the screen or text, and all 10 fingers type, automatically, and very quickly. This skill not only saved me a lot of time, but also opened up huge opportunities. 4 years ago I worked as a web project manager in a distributed team, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Amsterdam, and I had to write a lot of texts, ICQ, email and project documents. The lion's share of time was occupied by correspondence with clients in English, Dutch, and translation of their wishes into Russian technical language. When I learned touch typing and stopped focusing on the process of writing texts, their quality improved noticeably. I was able to express my thoughts more clearly, communicate with developers and, as a result, complete projects. This has not only had a beneficial effect on my career, but also freed up time for self-education in the professional field. I achieved these results with the help of the Keyboard Solo program, and although the course took me more than a month to complete, I do not regret the time invested at all. If you work on a computer and still don't get high from typing, learn how to type blindly, you will like it. Another consequence of this skill is my blog. I could never type large and high-quality texts with 2 fingers, I simply would not have the patience. But now I just open my laptop in any comfortable place and type. Working on yourself is a long process. It gives results in the long term, and if this fact confuses you, start with touch typing. It brings very fast and tangible results. 2. Organization of personal affairs. Time management studies many methods of effective time management, and this brings confusion to its ranks. The fact is that an ordinary busy person is not interested in organizing his time, his priorities and goals. He is primarily interested in organizing his affairs, which put pressure, create stress and complete confusion. David Allen wrote a wonderful book, GTD, Getting Things Done, How to Deal with Things, and recently an amateur translation of this book into Russian has appeared. You can download it from here, read more about the book here. It may seem strange, but unlike the logical, but far from reality advice of classic time management, this book works. A modern person consumes so much information and does so many things that did not happen to our ancestors in the entire history of civilization. Therefore, without a clear system, he can simply drown in them. The main idea of GTD is to dump a lot of things out of your head into a simple system that you can trust. Make a decision on each case from consciousness and subconsciousness. Get rid of the stress of unresolved issues and solve them with a clear head. Even though I only came across this book a few months ago, it has made my life so much easier. I was finally able to rise above the hustle and bustle, review my affairs, personal and work projects, and put aside doubts about what exactly I want to do. If you want to increase your efficiency in organizing personal affairs, then GTD is what you are looking for. 3. Mental focus. The ability to focus your thoughts on your intentions regardless of external stimuli is probably the most important skill for long-term success. First, a person always does what he thinks. If a person does not even think about a vacation or a good relationship, then it is likely that he will never go on vacation and will not start a family. If he thinks about them constantly, every day, then the subconscious itself will move him towards these goals, and it is likely that in a year he will be sunbathing with his family somewhere in Australia. Yes, family and vacations are socially common things, and the people around you will help you remember these thoughts. But if you want something unique, like launching a new project or having a picnic in the woods, then without your personal efforts to think about these goals and focus on them, they will never come true. Secondly, focusing on one's intentions turns on the mechanism of intent embodiment. To date, this is the most effective model for me that I use to achieve my goals. Thirdly, keeping the focus on positive images does not allow thoughts to turn to negative ones, and guarantees a good mood. And with a good mood, you work much better and more efficiently. Of course, if thinking about your goal will bring you worries and negative thoughts, it is probably not worth wasting time and effort on it. After all, this is your life, and you decide what to think about and what to do. In other words, mental focus is a good test for the validity of goals. You can immediately see if they are worth working on. A living example of using this skill is my blog. I have long wanted to launch this project, but somehow kept putting it off until later. When in June I began to imagine in great detail what it would be like, what it would give me and readers, and what I would talk about here, somehow by itself I found time. I figured out the WordPress engine, changed the design, learned the basics of blog management. The result is in front of your eyes. Here's how I developed the skill of keeping my mind focused on my goals. Think about them whenever I have time, write them down and sometimes even hang them up in a prominent place, reread my list of intentions frequently, find like-minded people who help me remember what I'm doing want. I just bought the book, The Type Z Guide to Success. Author, millionaire Mark Allen. It pays a lot of attention to the skill of maintaining mental focus on seeing the whole picture of the future life. 4. English. English somehow suddenly became a useful skill for me. I used to be sure that this world is full of information, so I can easily find all the necessary books in Russian. But progress does not stand still, and the bulk of new, interesting and useful information is now born in the English-speaking culture or translated into English. A few years ago, English helped me a lot in my career. I could communicate in English and read English documentation better than the other guys on the team. But this is not even as important as the ability to draw ideas from English language sources. The last time I took English seriously was in the 9th grade, and now, to keep it on the level, I just do what I need it for. Read English books and blogs, listen to English audiobooks and seminars, and enjoy it. 6. Speed reading. Speed reading is needed in order to read more books in less time. There are several techniques for increasing reading speed, and the main one is to stop saying the words you read to yourself. There are speed reading schools that seriously teach this skill, but I used a simpler technique, the Reader 32 program. On a black screen at high speed, the program shows one word at a time from the book, and when I read this stream of words, there is simply no time left to pronounce them. During the first hour, I may miss half the text, but after a few days I get used to the pace and increase it to be on the verge of understanding. After I read a few books through Reader 32, the speed of normal reading increases noticeably. Over time, it drops, but periodic reading with this program helps keep the speed at the level. Several times I heard the opinion of people who are afraid to engage in speed reading, so as not to stop enjoying slow, thoughtful reading. This skill does not interfere with me at all. At any moment I can slow down and even start reading in syllables. But still, most texts contain a lot of water, so it is most effective to read them quickly. In any case, I like the idea of trying and deciding rather than being afraid and avoiding. 7. Planning. As I mentioned in my post about the planning paradox, it is the judicious use of plans that gives freedom of creativity. More precisely, planning is real creativity, the ability to create the greatest work of art, your life. Various organizations and institutions have explored methodologies for planning large and small projects up and down, and in the last few years, agile methodologies have begun to take the person into account and even put him first. But they are practically silent about the issues of planning personal projects, and here I will tell you what I know about and what I use myself. I allow spontaneous life without plans, but planning for today brings me both pleasure and results. I use both approaches, and now I'm talking about the second. What is a plan? It is a set of steps or actions that lead to a specific result. A plan is needed to make sure that the next specific step is right. When he does not give such confidence, I change the plan. The secret is that without a plan, I will never take the next step, but with a plan, I will move forward. And even if half of my steps are not directed exactly to the goal, I will soon get my result. Here are the basic planning principles that I use. Result. I have met many times with others and myself have fallen into the trap of planning for the unknown. If I do not know the result I intend to achieve, then planning will not bring me results. It could be an interesting show that will satisfy my ego for a while, but it won't change my life in the long run. Therefore, before starting planning, I always write down exactly what I want. Written plan. The plan in the head tends to be forgotten, lost in the fog and drowning in the daily routine. A written plan helps keep your mental focus on your goal. Next step. As David Allen rightly pointed out in his book GTD, planning methodologies miss one important detail: the natural model of human planning. It consists in knowing the next specific step that must be taken to get closer to the goal. If business project planning, meeting or personal planning does not end with the next specific step, then it was useless. Therefore, for each project, in addition to the global plan, I have a list of specific steps that I will complete in the near future. Everything that I wrote above is not new at all, and is studied by the discipline of time management. But I have not seen the following planning principles almost anywhere. Motives. My plan will make sense if I have real motives or reasons for it. If I have no reasons or motives appeared as a result of self-deception, the plan will not bring results and its execution will turn into an endless battle with myself, a battle where there are no winners. On the other hand, if I know what I want and know exactly why, these motives will protect my plan from any troubles, emergency situations and laziness. Motives are a shield, a guarantee of the fulfillment of a plan. Execution. Many times I made grandiose plans that were impossible to fulfill. I lacked discipline, knowledge, or just time. Every person has a desire to make the plan optimal, but this often comes at the cost of ruining it. Such plans say what should be done, but do not say how. If I plan to publish new, interesting and useful articles on my blog 7 times a week, it would be a great plan, but not knowing how to implement it, it would remain a castle in the air. The secret is that any plan must include a plan for its implementation, which would give an unambiguous answer to the question, how? How realistically can you complete the planned steps? Pleasure. To achieve any goal, you can use 2 strategies: make an optimal plan and use strict discipline to achieve its execution, or make a real plan, the execution of which will bring pleasure. Guess which of these 2 plans has a chance of coming true? You and I live here and now, why not make sure that every moment brings pleasure? To develop the skill of planning, you need very little time. Over time, planning 8. Discipline. It was a revelation to me that discipline is not an inborn talent, but a skill that can be developed through the idea of physical training. Increase the load, but not make it unbearable. This is the main secret of the magic wand. Many people make the classic mistake of overloading themselves with tasks that require tremendous discipline, failing to lift that weight, getting depressed and quitting. But the more I practice my discipline, the more disciplined I become. If I stop doing my discipline, it begins to weaken, just like muscles weaken without playing sports. Discipline training is the answer to the question, how to stop being lazy. The best description of the discipline I have seen in a series of articles by Steve Pavlina. I recommend it to everyone who knows English. Steve says that discipline consists of 5 main ideas. Acceptance. It is necessary to realize your level of discipline in order to start training from this level, and not from heavy exercises. Will. This is a state that helps move mountains along the way, but that passes as quickly as it comes. Will is like the ignition in a car. You can't move without it, but you won't get far on it. The most reasonable thing is to use the will not for a desperate leap towards the goal, but for organizing and facilitating the future path. Once I had the will to launch the YesPhoto.ru project with my own hands, but it ended when it was necessary to develop this service. If you aim your will at the future, and not at the present moment, you can achieve great results. I will always remember this lesson: labor. No comment, conveyor. For repetitive tasks, it makes more sense to develop a habit of doing them than to apply discipline every time. If the execution of a large number of tasks is not put on the pipeline, they will create a big mess. It is in this jet that the GTD book is written. Perseverance. This is an opportunity to act, regardless of your mood. Even if you feel ready to stop, you keep going. Persistence does not allow emotions to stop movement towards the goal. Discipline is like a muscle: the more you develop it, the more you can rely on it. And what else can you rely on in this world besides your discipline? 9. Meditation. Today, this is my favorite personal effectiveness skill, although I am just starting to develop it. There are 2 types of activities that are called meditation: active and passive meditation. Active meditation consists in soaring above the hustle and bustle of one day and visualizing the whole picture of your present and future. Active meditation is very close to the skill of focusing your thoughts. The idea behind passive meditation is to stop thoughts by stepping aside and observing them. In the general case, this is observation not only of one's thoughts, but also of the body, breathing, mood and emotions. Modern man has learned to focus on the surrounding details, compress the environment into a point, but by this he has forgotten how to pay attention to himself. If you do not meditate and try to concentrate on your breathing, probably in a minute you will catch yourself losing focus and thinking about distant things, a word stirrer, turned on in your head. The word mixer generates pressure, worries and stress, and in a state of stress, a person loses the ability to prioritize, reacts sharply to trifles and does not pay attention to important events. By the way, Pavlov showed this in experiments with his dogs. Prioritization is essential for personal effectiveness, both in the short term, what I'm doing right now, and in the long term, growing the tree of goals. Therefore, to improve the skill of prioritization, it is logical to reduce stress and turn off the word mixer, and for this, meditate. I have been looking for descriptions of meditation for a long time, and I found the most understandable and sane description of the principles and techniques of meditation in the book, Osho. Meditation. First and last freedom. Another reason to meditate is health. Several times I have seen statistics. People who meditate live longer and get sick less. But even if you forget about health, stress and priorities, meditation just helps you feel good here and now, helps you stay in a great state. And why else do you need personal effectiveness?